I heard the deadbolt slide into place, and my heart stopped. Not a click, a slam. Metal grinding against metal, final as a coffin lid closing. "Derek?" My voice came out weak. "Old. Derek, honey, wait." The footsteps didn't stop. They kept moving down the hallway, steady and sure, like I hadn't spoken at all. I pressed my palm against the bedroom door, the wood cold under my wrinkled skin. "I need my medicine refilled before you go. The prescription—" "We'll handle it when we get back, Mom." His voice floated through the door, casual as Sunday breakfast, like he was telling me he'd pick up milk on the way home. I heard the suitcases rolling across the hardwood floor. Thump, thump, thump. Each one sounded like a nail being hammered into my chest. "Grandma, are you coming to say goodbye?" That was Emma, my youngest grandbaby, 7 years old with her father's eyes and her mother's cruel mouth. "She's resting, sweetie," my daughter-in-law called out. Her voice had that sugary tone she used when she wanted to sound caring. "Grandma needs her sleep." I slammed my fist against the door. "I'm right here. I'm right here." Nobody answered. More footsteps, more suitcases, more laughter about beach houses and dolphin tours and umbrella drinks. My son had his family now, his real family, the one that mattered. And I was just the woman who'd raised him for 18 years, who'd worked 2 jobs to put him through college, who'd signed this house over to him when he said it would help with taxes. Stupid. So stupid. "Derek?" I rattled the doorknob, but it didn't budge. "You can't just leave me in here. What about my medications? What about—" "Mom, relax." His voice was right outside the door now, close enough that I could hear him breathing. "You've got everything you need, water bottles in the corner, granola bars on the nightstand, bathrooms right there through the connecting door." "For 3 weeks?" My voice cracked. "You're leaving me locked in here for 3 weeks?" Silence. Then, "It's for your safety." "My safety?" "You've been wandering at night. Last week you almost turned on the stove. We talked about this." "We didn't talk about anything. You decided, we'll be back before you know it." His footsteps moved away. "Try to get some rest." "Derek, please." I heard her giggle, my daughter-in-law, that high-pitched, vindictive little sound she made when she got her way. "Come on, babe," she said. "We're going to miss our flight." "Derek!" The front door slammed. The house went silent. I stood there with my hand on the doorknob, my chest heaving, my mind refusing to accept what had just happened. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. My son wouldn't, but he did. He just did. The first hour, I paced. Back and forth across the bedroom, 12 steps from the door to the window, 12 steps back. My heart was racing so fast I thought I might collapse. I kept waiting to hear the key turn, hear Derek come back and say it was a joke, say he was sorry, say something. The house stayed quiet. The second hour, I tried the door again, and again, and again. The deadbolt didn't move. I looked around the room like I was seeing it for the first time. This bedroom, my bedroom, suddenly felt like a cell. The queen bed with its faded quilt, the dresser covered in old photos. The rocking chair in the corner where I used to read to Derek when he was small. He'd been such a sweet boy. What happened? I spotted the supplies he'd mentioned. 6 water bottles lined up against the wall like soldiers. A box of granola bars on the nightstand, 12 bars total. I counted them twice. 12 bars, 6 bottles. For 3 weeks. My hands started shaking. I walked to the bathroom door, the one he'd left unlocked, the only mercy he'd given me. The bathroom was tiny, barely big enough for a toilet and sink. No window, no way out. I turned on the faucet and splashed cold water on my face. Think. My phone. Where was my phone? I found it on the nightstand, charging cable still plugged in. My hands fumbled as I unlocked it, pulled up Derek's number, pressed call. It rang 4 times. "Hey, this is Derek. Leave a message." "Derek, you call me back right now. This isn't funny. This isn't—" My voice broke. "Please, I'm your mother. You can't do this." I hung up, waited. He didn't call back. I tried my daughter-in-law next, straight to voicemail. Then I did something that made me hate myself. I opened social media. There they were, already at the airport. Derek had posted a photo 20 minutes ago, him and his wife and the kids, all smiling in front of the departure board. The caption read, "Finally. 3 weeks of paradise. No work, no stress, no interruptions. Can't wait. Gian." No interruptions. I stared at that phrase until the words blurred. No interruptions. I was an interruption now. That's what I'd become. Day 3 arrived like a slap. The water bottles were half gone. I'd been rationing them, taking tiny sips, but my throat was constantly dry. The granola bars were down to 8. I'd called Derek 17 times. He never answered. I'd texted him, texted her, even texted my granddaughter, begging her to tell her daddy that Grandma needed help. Nobody responded. But they were posting. Oh, they were posting. Beach photos, restaurant photos, Derek holding up a giant margarita with both kids grinning beside him. "Living our best life," the caption said. I wanted to throw the phone against the wall. Instead, I stood up and walked to the window, the one that faced the backyard. The one I'd looked through 1,000 times while doing dishes or folding laundry or just daydreaming about a life that felt less small. I grabbed the window latch and pulled. It didn't move. I pulled harder, using both hands, my arthritic fingers screaming in protest. Nothing. That's when I looked closer. Really looked. The nails. 3 of them, driven through the window frame from the outside. Fresh wood shavings still dusted the sill. He'd planned this. He'd planned this. My son had hammered nails into my window to make sure I couldn't escape, and then he'd gotten on a plane with his family and flown away to paradise. I sank to the floor, my back against the wall, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. The bedroom door was locked from the outside. The window was nailed shut, and nobody was coming to save me. Nobody even knew I was here. By day 4, the granola bars were gone. I'd tried to make them last, 1 in the morning, 1 at night, but hunger doesn't negotiate. Hunger doesn't care about your rationing plan or your willpower or the fact that you've got 17 more days to survive. I ate the last one at 3 a.m., sitting on the bathroom floor in the dark, crying into my hands. The water bottles sat lined up against the wall. 3 left. 3.5, if I was being generous. I picked one up with shaking hands, unscrewed the cap, took the smallest sip I could manage. It wasn't enough. It was never enough. My lips were cracked. My tongue felt like sandpaper. Every time I swallowed, it hurt. I looked at the bathroom sink, turned on the faucet, watched the water run clear and cold and there. But I couldn't drink it. Not yet. Derek had shut off something I didn't know what, but the water pressure was wrong. It sputtered, came out brown sometimes, smelled like rust. What if it made me sick? What if I got sick in here, alone, with nobody coming? I turned off the faucet and went back to rationing my bottles like they were liquid gold. Day 7. I woke up at dawn and saw it. Condensation on the window glass. Tiny droplets of water, clinging to the inside of the pane where my breath had fogged it overnight. I didn't think. I just crawled to the window and pressed my tongue against the glass. The water was cool. Barely there. But it was something. I licked that window clean, dragging my tongue across every inch, my forehead pressed to the cold glass, my dignity left somewhere back on day 3. When I finished, I sat back on my heels and caught my reflection in the glass. I looked like a ghost. Sunken eyes, gray skin, hair matted to my skull. I looked away. Day 9. My phone lit up with a notification. I grabbed it so fast I almost dropped it. Derek posted a new photo. My hands trembled as I opened it. There he was, my son, my baby boy, standing on a beach at sunset with his wife, both of them holding cocktails, both of them glowing with happiness. The caption, "Needed this so bad. Best decision we ever made." Tree Khan, best decision. Leaving me locked in this room was the best decision they ever made. I stared at that photo until my vision blurred. Then I scrolled down. 43 likes already, comments pouring in. You guys deserve it. So happy for you. Living the dream. Nobody asked where I was. Nobody wondered why Grandma wasn't in any of the pictures. I opened my messages, scrolled to Derek's name, looked at the wall of texts I'd sent. Please call me. I'm running out of water. Derek, I'm scared. Why are you doing this? I'm your mother. All of them marked read. Every single one. He'd seen them, he'd read them, and he'd posted beach photos instead of responding. I typed out another message, my fingers shaking so badly I had to retype it 3 times. I'm going to die in here. I hit send. Watched the delivered change to read within seconds. He didn't reply. I called him. It rang twice, then went to voicemail. He'd rejected the call. My son had looked at his phone, seen my name, and pressed the button to make me go away. I threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor, screen cracked but still glowing. Still working. Still showing me their perfect vacation while I withered away. Day 12. I couldn't stop shaking. My hands trembled when I tried to open a water bottle, when I tried to stand, when I tried to do anything. At first I thought it was hunger, or dehydration, or fear. Then I remembered. My heart medication. The pills were in the kitchen. In the cabinet above the stove. Derek knew that. He'd watched me take them every morning for 5 years. And he'd locked me in here anyway. I pressed my hand to my chest, felt my heart hammering irregular and strange, like it was forgetting how to beat properly. How long can someone go without heart medication? I didn't want to know the answer. I crawled to the closet instead, pulled out old boxes, old clothes, dug through everything, searching for anything edible. In the back corner, behind a box of photo albums, I found it, a bag of Halloween candy from 2019. The mini chocolate bars were white with age, the wrappers were faded. But when I tore one open and bit down, the chocolate tasted like victory. Like survival. I ate 4 of them, sitting on the closet floor, and tried not to think about how much I'd aged since the last time I'd hidden candy from the grandkids. Back when they still loved me. Back when I was still a person, not an interruption. Day 14. I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror and didn't recognize myself. My cheekbones jutted out like knives. My eyes had sunk so deep they looked bruised. My hair hung in greasy strings around my face. I'd lost weight. A lot of weight. How much? 10 pounds? 20? I didn't know. I didn't have a scale. I just knew my clothes hung loose, and my wedding ring kept sliding off my finger, and when I touched my ribs I could count every single one. My phone buzzed. Another post. This time it was the kids, building sandcastles, laughing, covered in sand and joy. The caption from my daughter-in-law, making memories that will last forever. Dated as. I wondered if they'd made any memories of me, or if I'd already been erased. Day 16. I was walking from the bed to the bathroom when it happened. My chest seized. Not pain, exactly, more like pressure, like someone had wrapped both hands around my heart and squeezed. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't do anything except stumble forward and collapse near the bathroom door, my vision going dark at the edges. This is it, I thought. This is how I die. Alone on the floor of my own bedroom while my son drinks margaritas. The darkness swallowed me whole. I woke up to wetness. Sweat, everywhere, soaking through my clothes, pooling under my body, cold and sticky and wrong. I didn't know how long I'd been unconscious. Hours, maybe. The light through the window had changed. I lay there on the floor, staring at the ceiling, my heart still beating its broken rhythm. And I understood something with perfect clarity. They weren't coming back to help me. They were coming back to find a body. Derek had locked me in here to die. Maybe not on purpose, maybe he'd just convinced himself I'd be fine, that I was exaggerating, that I was being dramatic like always. But intention didn't matter anymore. What mattered was this. I had 5 days left before they came home. 5 days to decide if I was going to lie down and let this room become my grave, or if I was going to fight. I pulled myself to my knees, then to my feet. My legs shook, my vision swam, but I stayed standing. I walked to the bedroom door and pressed my palm against it one more time. "I'm not dying in here," I whispered to the empty house. "You hear me, Derek? I'm not dying in here." The house didn't answer. But for the first time in 16 days, I felt something other than fear. I felt rage. I stopped crying on day 18. Just stopped. Like a faucet turning off. Like something inside me had finally run dry. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my hands, these old, wrinkled, useless hands, and I realized the tears weren't coming anymore. Good. Tears were for people who still had hope. Day 19. I stopped begging. Deleted every pathetic text I drafted. Every please and I'm sorry and what did I do wrong? My phone had become a weapon they used against me. Every beach photo, every sunset, every smiling face rubbing my face in the fact that I didn't matter. So I stopped looking. I turned the phone face down on the nightstand and left it there. Let them post. Let them celebrate. Let them pretend I never existed. I had better things to do. I had to survive. Day 20. Something cracked open inside me. I felt it happen. Felt the old woman, the one who'd apologized for existing, who'd made herself small, who'd signed away her house because her son asked nicely, felt her break apart like rotted wood. And what crawled out wasn't weak. Wasn't soft. Wasn't sorry. I stood in the center of the bedroom and looked around with new eyes. This room wasn't a prison. It was a workshop. I started in the closet, pulled out every box, every bag, every forgotten thing I'd shoved in there over the years. Old clothes, old books, old tools. That's when I found it. A metal coat hanger. I held it up to the light, turning it over in my hands. The wire was thin but strong, bendable, useful. I grabbed it with both hands and twisted until it came apart, the metal cutting into my palms. Blood welled up just a little, but I didn't stop. I had a tool now. I had a weapon. The door hinges were on the inside. I'd noticed that days ago, but I hadn't understood what it meant. Hadn't let myself think about what it meant. Now I understood perfectly. Derek had locked the deadbolt from the outside, but the hinges? The hinges were right here, right in front of me. If I could remove the hinge pins, the door would come off completely. Deadbolt wouldn't matter. Lock wouldn't matter. I'd be free. I crawled to the door and examined the hinges. 3 of them. Each one held in place by a pin the width of my finger. I took the wire hanger and wedged it under the bottom of the first pin. Pulled. Nothing. I tried again, using both hands, my arthritic fingers screaming in protest. The pin didn't budge. "Come on," I hissed through gritted teeth. I kept pulling, kept prying. The wire bit into my fingers, drawing more blood, but I didn't care. Pain meant I was still alive. Pain meant I was still fighting. The pin shifted. Just barely. Just enough. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, you bastard. Move." Hours passed. Maybe days. I lost track. All I knew was the hinges, the pins, the door. My fingers bled. The wire hanger bent and twisted until it was barely recognizable, but I kept working, kept prying, kept trying. On what might have been day 21, I'd stopped counting. I shoved my hand under the bed to wipe the blood off and felt something hard. A box. I dragged it out, my heart pounding. It was an old toolbox, rusted metal, covered in dust. Derek must have shoved it under here months ago and forgotten about it. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside, a screwdriver. A screwdriver. I wanted to laugh, wanted to scream, wanted to thank God or the universe or whatever cruel joke had left this here for me to find. Instead, I grabbed it and went back to the door. The screwdriver fit under the hinge pin perfectly. I hammered it with the palm of my hand once, twice, 3 times, and the pin popped up an inch. Then another inch. Then it slid free completely, clattering to the floor like a tiny miracle. "One down," I whispered. I worked through the night, through the pain, through the exhaustion, through everything. My fingers were a mess of blood and calluses. My back screamed from crouching for so long, but I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. The second pin came free just after dawn. The third pin fought me hard, but I was stronger now, meaner. I'd spent 3 weeks in this room learning exactly how much I could endure. Turns out, more than they thought. The third pin finally gave way, and I caught it before it hit the floor. I stood up slowly, my knees cracking, my whole body trembling. The door was still closed, still locked, but the hinges were gone. I grabbed the edge of the door and pulled. It shifted, sagged. The deadbolt on the outside held it in place, but the door itself was coming loose, separating from the frame inch by inch. One more pull and it would come free completely. I stopped. Stood there in the dim light, tools in my hands, looking at the door that had kept me prisoner for 3 weeks. I could leave right now, could push this door down and walk out of this room and never look back. But I didn't move. Because I heard something. A car in the driveway. The sound of the trunk slamming made my heart stop. Then, voices. I can't wait to show Grandma my shells. Emma, my granddaughter. They were home. I heard keys jingling, heard the front door open, heard suitcases hitting the floor, and my daughter-in-law complaining about the flight, and Derek saying something about pizza for dinner. Like this was normal. Like they hadn't left me here to die. I looked at the door, looked at the tools in my hands, looked at my reflection in the window, gaunt and hollow and changed. They thought they'd come home to silence. Thought they'd find me weak, grateful, apologetic maybe, for making them feel guilty. Or maybe they thought they'd find a body. But they were wrong. I pressed myself against the wall behind the door, screwdriver gripped tight in my bloody hand, and waited in the darkness. The darkness I'd lived in for 21 days. The darkness I'd learned to love. Footsteps came down the hallway. Mom? Derek's voice, casual, easy. Mom, we're home. Sorry we're a little late. I didn't answer. I just stood there in the shadows, my heart beating slow and steady, my breath calm. Patient. The key turned in the lock. The deadbolt slid free. The door started to open. And I smiled. The front door burst open with the sound of freedom. Their freedom. Not mine. Finally! My daughter-in-law's voice echoed through the house. I thought that flight would never end. Suitcases hit the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. The wheels rattled across the hardwood, the same sound I'd heard 21 days ago when they'd left me here to rot. Kids, shoes off, Derek called out. Let's not track sand everywhere. I stood in the corner of my bedroom, hidden in shadow, and listened to them live. Listened to them laugh and complain and exist like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't been dying 10 feet away while they built sandcastles. Mom? Derek's voice rang out, casual as Sunday morning. Mom, we're home. Sorry we're a little late, our flight got delayed. Sorry they were late. Not sorry they'd locked me in here. Just sorry about the flight. My fingers tightened around the baseball bat I'd found in the back of the closet. Derek's childhood bat. The one I'd bought him for his 12th birthday. The one he'd used to hit his first home run. The one I was going to use to make him remember I existed. Footsteps came down the hallway. 2 sets, Derek and his wife. I still can't believe we pulled that off, she said, her voice low but not low enough. 3 whole weeks. I told you it would be fine, Derek replied. She had everything she needed. You really think she stayed in there the whole time? Where else would she go? I locked the door. They laughed. Actually laughed. I heard it through the door, that easy, careless sound of people who'd never suffered a day in their lives. My vision went red. The doorknob turned. I pressed myself tighter against the wall, out of sight, my breathing shallow and controlled. The key scraped in the lock. The deadbolt clicked free. Mom? Derek pushed the door open. We brought you back some... The words died in his throat. I watched his face from the shadows. Watched it change from casual concern to confusion to something close to horror. He'd stopped in the doorway, frozen, staring. Derek? His wife appeared behind him. What's oh my God? The smell hit them first. 3 weeks of survival packed into one room. Sweat and sickness and desperation and decay. Then they saw the rest. The bedroom looked like a crime scene. Because it was. The door sagged on broken hinges, barely hanging on. Furniture lay overturned, the rocking chair on its side, the nightstand shoved against the wall, the bed frame scratched and dented where I'd tried to take it apart for tools. Empty water bottles littered the floor, 6 of them, bone dry. Granola bar wrappers scattered everywhere. The window covered in streaks where I'd licked the condensation. Scratch marks on the walls, deep ones, desperate ones, places where I'd clawed for purchase, for sanity, for something. My phone lay face up on the floor, screen cracked, showing 47 missed calls to Derek's number. All unanswered. All ignored. What the hell? Derek stepped into the room, his foot crunching on broken glass. Mom? Mom? Where are you? I didn't answer. I just stepped out of the shadows. His wife saw me first. She made a sound, not quite a scream, not quite a gasp, something animal and terrified. Jesus Christ, she whispered. Derek turned and looked at what he'd created. I stood by the window, backlit by the afternoon sun, and let him see. 30 pounds lighter, maybe more. My clothes hung off my frame like a shroud. My hair was matted, greasy, gray as ash. My face was all angles now, cheekbones sharp as knives, eyes sunk deep into my skull. My lips were cracked and bleeding. My hands were covered in dried blood from working the hinges. And I was holding his baseball bat. Mom? His voice came out small. Scared. What happened to you? I tilted my head. Smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. What happened? I repeated slowly. You happened, Derek. I don't understand. You locked me in here. My voice was calm, cold. Nothing like the begging, desperate woman who'd texted him for help. For 3 weeks. While you drank margaritas and posted pictures and lived your best life. No, He held up his hands. I left you supplies, water, food. You thought I'd be fine. Yes, you thought I'd be dead. The words landed like a slap. Derek's face went white. I would never. 47 calls, I said softly. I called you 47 times. You answered 0. My phone was off. You posted 12 times. I took a step forward. The bat dragged across the floor with a sick scraping sound. 12 vacation posts. Sunset photos. Beach photos. Restaurant photos. But you couldn't answer one call from your mother. His wife grabbed his arm. Derek, You read my texts? I continued, my eyes locked on my son. Every single one. I watched you read them. Watched the little read notification pop up. And you know what you did? He didn't answer. You went back to your vacation. Grandma? The small voice came from behind them. Emma, standing in the hallway, staring at me with wide, terrified eyes. Grandma, why do you look so scary? Something in my chest cracked. Not broke, I was already broken. This was something else, something colder. Go to your room, Emma, I said quietly. But now. She ran. I heard her crying as she disappeared down the hall, heard her little brother follow. Good. Let them cry. Let them feel one fraction of what I felt. Derek's wife started backing toward the door. We should call someone. A doctor. The police. The police? I nodded slowly. Good idea. I reached down, moving slow, deliberate, and picked up my phone from the floor. Held it up so they could see the cracked screen. Should I show them the texts? I asked. The ones where I begged you for help? Or maybe the call log? 47 attempts? Or we could show them your vacation photos. I saved all of them. Derek's face crumbled. Mom, please, I didn't mean... You didn't mean to lock me in here? I thought it was for your own good. My own good? You were wandering. You were confused. We were worried. You were worried. I laughed. It sounded wrong coming out of my mouth. Broken. You were so worried you flew to paradise and forgot I existed. That's not fair. Fair? The word exploded out of me. You want to talk about fair? I swung the bat. Not at him. At the wall. The impact echoed through the house like a gunshot. Derek flinched. His wife screamed. But I just stood there, bat resting on my shoulder, looking at my son. I licked condensation off the window to survive, I said quietly. I ate Halloween candy from 2019. I collapsed on the floor with my heart giving out and nobody came. Nobody cared. Mom. And you know what the worst part was? Tears finally came. Not sad tears. Angry ones. I kept thinking you'd come back. Kept thinking, he's my son. He loves me. He'll realize his mistake and come home. But you didn't, did you? Derek's eyes were wet now, too. I'm sorry. God, Mom, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. I took one step forward. Then another. Derek stumbled backward, pulling his wife with him into the hallway. We need to have a family meeting, I whispered, my voice carrying through the house. About your vacation. His wife's scream cut through everything. She fell to her knees, hands covering her mouth, making sounds like she was going to be sick. Emma started crying louder from her bedroom. But Derek just stood there, frozen, staring at what he'd turned his mother into. And I smiled again. That same cold, broken smile. Welcome home, son. I didn't swing the bat. God knows I wanted to. Wanted to feel it connect with his skull, wanted to hear him scream, wanted to make him hurt the way I'd hurt. But I didn't. Instead, I walked. Walked right past my son, past his sobbing wife, past the wreckage of the bedroom that had been my prison. I stepped into the hallway for the first time in 21 days. The light from the windows hit me like a physical thing. Bright, warm, real. I'd forgotten what sunlight felt like. My legs shook with every step. My vision swam. But I kept moving, one foot in front of the other, the bat dragging behind me across the hardwood. Mom, wait. Derek reached for my arm. I jerked away so hard I nearly fell. Don't, I said. Don't you dare touch me. He froze. Good. Let him stand there. Let him watch me walk away. Let him realize he couldn't stop me anymore. The kitchen looked exactly the same. Clean counters, fresh fruit in a bowl, coffee maker sitting there like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't been dying 10 feet away while they lived their lives. I dropped the bat on the floor with a clang that made Derek's wife flinch. Then I walked to the sink, turned on the faucet, and filled a glass with water. My hands shook so badly I spilled half of it. But I lifted that glass to my cracked lips and drank. Cold, clean, perfect. I drank until I couldn't breathe, until my stomach cramped, until tears ran down my face. Then I set the glass down and picked up my phone. Derek appeared in the doorway. Mom, please, let's just talk. I dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? My son locked me in my bedroom for 3 weeks while he went on vacation. My voice came out steady, calm, dead. I need police and paramedics. Silence on the other end. Then, ma'am, can you repeat that? My son Derek Morrison locked me in my bedroom with 6 water bottles and 12 granola bars for 21 days, while he and his family vacationed in Florida. Are you in danger right now? I looked at Derek. He stood frozen in the doorway, his face the color of old paper. No, I said. Not anymore. Paramedics and police are on the way. Stay on the line with me. I'm not going anywhere. I almost laughed. I've got nowhere left to go. Derek tried. God, he tried. She's confused. He told the 911 operator when he grabbed the phone from me. My mother, she's elderly. She gets mixed up. We never locked her anywhere. She must have gotten disoriented. I held up my phone. My cracked, destroyed phone with 7 missed calls on the screen. Explain these, I said quietly. He went pale. And these. I opened social media, scrolled through his vacation photos. You posted 12 times, I called 47, do the math. That doesn't prove. The door hinges are destroyed, the windows nailed shut. There are scratch marks on the walls. My voice never rose, never wavered, and I've lost 30 pounds in 3 weeks. His wife made a choking sound. Officers are 2 minutes away, the 911 operator said through the phone speaker. Derek sank into a chair, put his head in his hands. I thought you'd be fine, he whispered. You thought I'd die quietly. He didn't deny it. I called my daughter next. Linda, my firstborn. The one I hadn't spoken to in 3 years because Derek said she was toxic, said she was trying to turn me against him. She answered on the second ring. Mom? Her voice cracked. Mom, is that you? Linda. I closed my eyes. I need you to come home. What's wrong? You sound... Your brother locked me in my bedroom for 3 weeks. Silence. Then, I'm on my way. Don't move. Don't let him near you. I'm coming right now. She hung up. I sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd made Derek breakfast every morning for 18 years, and waited. My son sat across from me, not speaking, not moving, just staring at his hands like they belonged to someone else. The police arrived first. 2 officers, a man and a woman. They took one look at me and called for backup. Ma'am, when's the last time you ate? The female officer asked. Halloween candy from 2019, I said. Yesterday, or maybe the day before. I lost track. She knelt in front of me. We're going to get you help. Can you tell me what happened? So I did. I told them everything. The lock, the supplies, the vacation, the texts, the posts, the condensation on the window, the heart medication I'd gone without, the moment I collapsed and woke up knowing they wanted me dead. I showed them my phone. Showed them the bedroom. Showed them my hands still bloody from tearing apart the hinges. The male officer looked at Derek. Sir, I need you to step outside. This is a misunderstanding. Now. The paramedics arrived. They wrapped me in a blanket, checked my vitals, started an IV right there at the kitchen table because my blood pressure was dangerously low. We need to transport her, one of them said. She needs a hospital. Not yet. I grabbed his wrist. Not until this is finished. He looked at the police officer. She nodded. 5 minutes, she said. Derek tried to explain. Tried to tell them I was mentally declining, that the lock was for my safety, that he'd left adequate supplies. 6 water bottles? I interrupted. For 21 days. Do the math. I thought. You thought I'd ration them, survive, be grateful you came back at all. I looked at the officers, asked him about the window, why it's nailed shut. Derek's face went white. Or ask him why he never answered 47 phone calls from his dying mother. She's exaggerating. I have the phone records, I said. I have the texts. I have your vacation photos with timestamps. I have everything. The officer looked at Derek. Sir, you need to come with us. What? No, this is my house. Actually, I said softly, it's mine. Everyone stopped. The deed, I continued. It's in my name. Always has been. You asked me to sign it over 3 years ago for tax purposes. I never did. I pulled a folder from the kitchen drawer. The deed. Original. Never transferred. Derek's face crumbled. This is my house, I said, and you are no longer welcome in it. They put handcuffs on my son. Read him his rights while his wife sobbed on the floor. Child services came for the kids, took them for temporary questioning while they investigated. Emma screamed for her daddy as they led him out. I sat at the kitchen table and felt nothing. Linda burst through the door 20 minutes later. She took one look at me and started crying. Oh, Mom. Oh, God, Mom. She wrapped her arms around me careful, like I might break, and I let her. Let myself be held for the first time in 3 weeks. Let myself be human again. I'm pressing charges, I whispered into her shoulder. All of them. Good, she said fiercely. You should. He deserves worse than jail. I pulled back, looked at her. But it's all I've got. The lawyer came 3 days later. Young woman, sharp eyes. She laid out my options like weapons. Elder abuse. False imprisonment. Neglect. Possibly attempted murder, depending on how the DA feels. She looked up from her notes. This is serious, but it's going to tear your family apart. My family? I almost laughed. I haven't had a family in years. Your son will go to prison. Good. Your grandchildren will grow up knowing their father's a criminal. Better than growing up thinking what he did was okay. She studied me for a long moment. Are you sure? She asked quietly. Once we do this, there's no going back. I thought about the bedroom, the scratch marks, the empty water bottles, the moment my heart stopped and nobody came. I thought about my son's vacation photos, his smile, his complete and total indifference to my suffering. They tore this family apart when they turned that key, I said. I'm just finishing what they started. 6 months later, I stood at the kitchen window and watched the sunrise. Derek was in county jail awaiting trial. His wife had filed for divorce. The kids were with their mother's parents. Linda had moved back home. She was in the other room, making coffee, humming to herself. The house was quiet, peaceful. Mine. I'd been dead for 21 days, locked in that bedroom. But standing here now, watching the light pour through the windows, feeling my heartbeat strong and steady in my chest, I'd never felt more alive. Some prisons have bars. Some have deadbolts. But the worst prison is the one where your own blood leaves you to die. And I just burned mine to the ground.